A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, the galactic civil war is over. The Empire has fallen, and peace has returned to the galaxy. But not only a survivor of the Civil War, but a survivor of the Clone Wars, Ahsoka Tano, searches the galaxy because she feels an unyielding threat is yet to return. Grand Admiral Thrawn, his name is being whispered throughout remnants of the Empire. Lothal is at peace, but Sabine Wren is restless. Hera Syndulla is trying her best to not only find Thrawn and stop a war from beginning, but also to find her friend Ezra Bridger, who disappeared with Thrawn all those years ago. And we pick up where we left off in Star Wars Ahsoka here on Fake Nerds Watch, episodes 1 through 3. I am Ben Magnet. I am here with my bros, Brandon T. McClure.
Hello, hi. I'm Star Wars.
Right. Yep, Ryan Eliopoulos.
Hello, hi, Master.
Ooh,
and
that was sexy.
I don't know how I feel about that. And of course, General Sparks Witty.
Hello, all you people living in the post-strike world and listening to this. How is it?
How's the end of the show? Don't tell us.
Right.
We don't know.
No spoilers, please. We're recording these live.
There's like a whole bunch of spoilers on the bottom of the comment section.
If our comment section were that explosive, I'd welcome it.
Hell yeah.
Very true.
All right,
very
guys.
True.
We're talking about the first 3 episodes of Star Wars Ahsoka. So it's part 1, Master and Apprentice, directed by Dave Filoni and written by Dave Filoni. Part 2, Toil and Trouble, directed by Steph Green, who did episodes of Watchmen, Book of Boba Fett, and Luke Cage. Written once again by Dave Filoni. Dave Filoni wrote the entire series, it looks like. And then part 3, Time to Fly, once again directed by Steph Green, and again Dave Filoni, written.
Love it.
What do we think of this so far?
Honestly, I want to hear Ben's initial thoughts because he is the newest to the Rebels fandom. Because we've all watched Rebels, and now you recently watched Rebels just in time for Ahsoka.
Exactly.
So you are kind of you don't have the long jump. Like I watched it only a couple years ago. These guys watched it like when it was on, but like you just watched it. So like, how are you feeling about the transition? You know, where we are with these characters. Like, what are you feeling in this new era?
So just to get right off the bat, I am so happy I watched all of Rebels before I started watching Ahsoka, and I'm trying. And every other person I've been talking to about Ahsoka, I'm like, I ask them, did you watch Rebels? And I'm like, you should really watch Rebels. And I tell them it's a great show. It is a fantastic show. I literally finished it like 2 days before Ahsoka even premiered on Disney Plus, and I am so happy I did. Even though I just finished it and jumping into Ahsoka, to me, it helps out so much. Like even if you didn't watch Rebels, or if you just watched like a quick recap of Rebels, Ahsoka, you could still enjoy it. But I want to say there's like a heightened level of enjoyment with Rebels, or with watching the entirety of Rebels and getting into Ahsoka. And I'm really been enjoying. I almost call it Rebels. I really enjoyed Ahsoka. Like these first
Rebels
3 episodes.
season 5.
Yeah, essentially, yeah, or Rebels 2. I mean, we'll get into it. As much as I like Ahsoka, especially her few scenes in Star Wars Rebels, or a few appearances in the show Rebels, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of enjoy the Rebel stuff more than I do the Ahsoka stuff.
Yeah,
Sure.
Well, you don't, and for contextually, Ben, you do not have the full history with her in Clone Wars.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, I know of her history in Clone Wars. I just haven't seen it in Clone Wars.
Sure.
I don't think the show is impenetrable for people who have never seen Rebels. I think there is a learning curve. You certainly get more out of it if you have seen Rebels. I think that there is an interesting tightrope being walked with this show, where Filoni is definitely going in with people who are watching the show have seen Rebels, and I want to make sure that they feel seen. And I don't want to give them anything that they've already seen before. Whereas he's also like holding the newer audience's hand by being like, come with me, trust me, this is still a story that is accessible to you. I don't think he 100% succeeds, but I don't think it's as difficult as I initially thought it would be. For example, I thought it was going to be a lot harder for people who hadn't seen Rebels.
Sure. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think it is obviously with anything like this, prior knowledge, it really helps, but I think it does a good job of onboarding you with who these characters are. And specifically, like there's like the Ezra message, which is a new thing. So it's like, hey, here's what happened in case you missed it, y'all. Love you. Bye. Signed, Dave Filoni. So like I think it does a pretty good job of of getting you on board. I'm really enjoying the show. I'm not gonna say like I'm loving it. Like I'm like thrilled. Well, no, I am thrilled to watch it, but like it's like an 8.5 for me right now. I'm really liking these episodes. Like I really enjoy the pace of it, that it's a little slower. I really like the tone of it. The fact that it's Dave Filoni, the dude who created this character, who has shepherded this character for his entire career, makes me believe that like I'm okay with where she is at. I know a lot of people are struggling with how chill Ahsoka is and how like very zen she is, and like I get that. She's 45 years old. She's not a teenager anymore. She's been through multiple wars, multiple murders of her best friends and stuff like that. So like if she's a little chilled out in her 40s, I'm cool with that. Again, also Dave Filoni is the person who created her, so I have more faith in her and him than what fans want, right? So like until they screw that up, I'm cool with it. I'm here for Sabine. I love what they're doing, Sabine. The stuff with like the Force stuff, like I'm really gonna have to see where that plays out. But right now, I'm really enjoying this journey, and it's not the fact that like they just gave her Force powers immediately. Like she might have to work for it, which is like a weird video game thing in a way. But I'm just really enjoying all the character stuff, and it does feel really layered if you are familiar with these characters. And there is a new mystery with the two main characters, like what happened between them, and I am really interested in that. So for me, I think the show is a success, thankfully. But again, we are less than halfway through. It could change on me, but I'm happy to say I'm enjoying it.
Sparks?
I'll kind of respond to a lot of that, but overall, I'm pretty happy. I think that the commitment to production on this, it just feels, comparing directly to not Andor, but Mandalorian. So recently with season 3, I feel the love on the table and attention to detail that's going on here, which like whether everything is working or not, it just feels like there's a lot of effort here. And in kind of hindsight, really makes me feel like Mandalorian season 3 just had like hands off the wheel a little bit because of how much care I can feel coming off the screen here, which makes sense, right? Because Dave Filoni, we know, wasn't heavily involved in that season because he was over here.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll what Ryan's bringing up about Ahsoka's character, I am a person who's not super hot on Dawson's portrayal of Ahsoka. I think that I've really started to see what the issue for me is, and it's this Joanna Robinson from The Ringer highlighted a stoicism problem in the modern era of live action Star Wars, which I think is there.
Yeah.
If you are looking at Bo-Katan and Mando staying next to each other, or Ming-Na Wen's character in Boba Fett, and then looking at Ahsoka, like they're all the archetype. And it's not directly a problem with Ahsoka. I hear what people are saying about like the character and what she's been through and that kind of stuff, and that's one thing, but it's the repetition of the archetype in so many of these things at this time that I'm getting a little sick of. And it being done to a character who I'm familiar with in a different context is like, do we have to do this?
I'll agree with that.
This again, and I'm getting a little. But my main thing is that I find her more closed here than she was in her last Mando appearance. And that's kind of where I'm personally rubbing up against it, is I really liked what Dawson was doing in that episode.
Yeah.
I felt like that was closer to the Ahsoka I'm familiar with. And I don't think it's a problem for her to be pulled back with a lot of people, but it doesn't make sense to me when she is with Sabine and Hera.
Well, so here's the thing. I will disagree specifically on Sabine because she went through something traumatic with her and we don't know what it is.
Sure.
So I wish I had a tweet, but there was a great tweet. I was like, if you watch the episode, like this person did a lot of times, like you'll notice that she's never smiling with Sabine, but she is smiling with other people. She is on purpose pulling back from Sabine because she does not want to get involved with Sabine again. And then it's slowly in episode 3, there's that great moment where Sabine, what do you need? And she's opening up to her. So that is deliberately on purpose. And I understand rubbing up against it, but as Filoni's thing of like, these people have not talked to each other in years. They had an incredibly bad falling out. They're not going to be best friends immediately. And we just don't have enough information. And I'm just I'm just trusting it more where like she will open up because she is open to other people.
Sure.
Sabine, but they were best friends who broke up. Like that's bad. Yeah. So like I hear you, but like I don't see that as a problem yet.
I'll like with Sabine, it's the story's unfolding, so it's not as much, but again, it is this like, because Filoni's been on these other shows, it's this archetype getting repeated and repeated and repeated.
I'll give it that. That dude's kind of like, he likes his one type.
And
but that's not even necessarily true. I'm sorry, Sparks, to interrupt a little bit, but that's not necessarily true because Dave Filoni understood that Star Wars was whimsical. Like you look at Rebels and you look at Clone Wars, which he shepherded. He understood there was a whimsiness to Star Wars, even with this idea that Kanan being this jaded Jedi, he still knew how to have fun. All Star Wars was all about fun. You look at every single archetype in the Star Wars franchise, every single one of them has a little twinkle in their eye. Every single one of them, and you don't get that anymore with these new shows, and that's what I'm missing. That's what I'm missing.
I agree, and I like, as much as I'm liking all these Star Wars shows, all the live action shows are kind of like taking a step back from fun in a little way. All of them,
right?
And again, like there's like the Jack Black episode, which is fun, but like that's like a few and far between type situation.
And even then, like you have to put those kinds of flamboyant characters against characters like Bo-Katan and Mando, because you're not going to let them do it. And it's one of the reasons why like people rub up against Mando. It's not just because you can't see his face; it's because like he's literally just kind of a wall.
Yeah.
And then there are other characters who you can see the face of. Again, I think Ming-Na Wen is a good example.
Yeah.
Where she's just a wall. Like I don't know how I like the actor a lot, and I don't know how I'm supposed to give a shit about that character because she's just the same all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's just this thing, and I don't want that to perpetuate onto Ahsoka too much. That's kind of my fear, because I feel like the general thing is just, I feel like the personality is a step a little bit backwards.
Mm-hmm.
There could be character reasons for it in certain scenes, but in general, it feels like a step backwards from the last time we saw Dawson do it.
Yeah,
and that has me a little like, okay. And here's my main thing about it. Megan, my wife, has not watched Rebels, has not watched Clone Wars. Guess what? She doesn't really give a shit about Ahsoka right now.
Yeah.
But she does like Sabine. And I think that's a little bit of part of the problem too, because Sabine feels more like the engaging, interesting, connective character than Ahsoka, even though this is Ahsoka's show.
Yeah.
And I do worry. I don't think it's a problem yet, but I am worried about where we're going.
Well, that's why, again, like at the end of episode 3, I think it is the opening up. I think they will become closer over time. I think we needed this first arc of them being at odds.
So I agree with a lot of what Sparks is saying, with the exception that I don't trust Rosario Dawson's performance as Ahsoka to smooth anything over. I just think she's fundamentally miscast.
Sure.
I did not like her in her first appearance, the Mandalorian episode, The Jedi. And I specifically didn't like her when she was talking to the robot Mark Hamill in Book of Boba Fett. So like, I don't like her here either. There's just nothing about Rosario Dawson's performance as this character that I could ever see working for me. Even as the character becomes closer to the Ahsoka that we know, I just don't think there is any. I think Rosario Dawson, as much as I'm certain this isn't true, I'm certain that Rosario Dawson cares about Ahsoka, and she takes this role very seriously.
This is a direction thing.
I don't see it in her performance. I don't see this Rosario Dawson, who's an actor that I find to be pretty good at best. I've never really loved her in anything. So like when I'm looking at this character, who's a character I love Ahsoka. And to an actor who I kind of like, I like her. She's fine. I have no ill will against Rosario Dawson. Turning in a performance where it doesn't feel like she cares. And Ryan's correct. It could be a directing thing. It's possible. Dave Filoni is not a person who is used to directing physical actors, so it's entirely possible that there is that disconnect there. But I just don't know. I'm willing to give her the shot because, again, I love Ahsoka, and I love this show. I'm really happy with this show. I know I came out pretty hard swinging with that Ahsoka thing, but I really like this show. I'm really into it right now. It's the Ahsoka, the performance of Ahsoka, just I cannot see landing for me with Rosario Dawson in the role.
Yeah, from like everyone talking about it, the buzz on the show is like pretty positive. People like the show, but the one thing that is like the dividing factor is Ahsoka herself, and that is whether you like it or not, that is a problem because she is your main character, and it is a problem when
and a beloved one.
And again, it is so interesting again because this is Dave Filoni's his full choice. This is like I made this character, and it's such an interesting choice to make her act this way. And I think with a different actor, it would still be this. Like he wants this Ahsoka to be very, very like Luke Skywalker Jedi mode. And like again, I don't have a problem with it. Also because I don't have the love like for Ahsoka that you guys might. Like I like her, but like I don't have a problem with it. I do wish there was a little bit more there, but I am trusting the rest of the show. Maybe she'll get a little more plucky near the end, but like I hear everything you guys are saying. I just don't have a problem with it. But I know you guys like. I'm glad we agree that like the rest of the show is pretty sweet and the other characters are great because like.
And I want to say specifically. Before we get into anything else, I just want it on record at the top of this episode. I love Sabine. I love everything they're doing with Sabine. I love the actress who's playing her. I clearly see that's the same character I saw from Rebels. I'm so happy with how they are portraying Sabine.
Sure. Yeah.
Everything about this show thus far, I'm watching it because of Rebels. As I like, because like you guys, I enjoy Ahsoka. I think Ahsoka is really cool. I probably would absolutely adore her if I watched all of Clone Wars, but what little Clone Wars I have seen and what I've seen of her at Rebels, I like Ahsoka. I really like who she is and what she means to Star Wars. But I would be lying if I said I'm watching the show because of Ahsoka. I'm watching the show because of the Rebels. I am watching this because of Sabine, because of Hera, because of everyone and them trying to find Ezra. And yes,
that was so cute, and it's mostly practical. I love it.
That Lothcat is so freaking adorable. But yeah, I absolutely love what they're doing with Sabine too. I love the actor playing Sabine. I kind of just feel like they immediately found someone who looks exactly like her. They just ripped her out of the anime show and just plopped her in. I love Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Hera.
I do too. I really like Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Hera.
Yeah, like the scene where they're like, she's saying, shoot it. It's like, no, we can't shoot it down, Chop. It's gonna crash into the port city. I'm like, yeah, I just like, they're back. They're back, and I miss them, and I love them. And even though I just finished watching Rebels, it's like I miss these guys. I miss this crew.
I think that's a good point, Ben, because I do think it all the more for people who are familiar with like the anime material and these characters and everything. I think it all the more highlights the contrast with what's going on with Ahsoka, because when Mary Elizabeth Winstead and I'm going to look her up in a moment, but the actor who plays Sabine, thank you, both hit. It's like, oh, that's them. I see them. They're that's very clear. And then Ahsoka's like, if I squint, Natasha Liu Bordizzo. Okay. So both of them, I think, are killing it. And I think they got it very quickly. And so I think that does add to like where you feel that, oh, this is very clearly who I'm familiar with. And then you look over at Dawson as Ahsoka and you're like, not getting older. And like, just to on Brandon's point about what he was saying, and kind of you with your response about like a different actor, I do think it's like, worth noting that like Filoni didn't pick Dawson for Ahsoka.
No.
And who knows, there could be someone who could have done the role better or that kind of thing. I do think do think the key part is something that we know was part of the relationship regarding the character for Filoni was Ashley Eckstein conversing about things she understood about the character that she would bring to the table and say, I don't think this fits. And that Filoni would listen to that. And that was a conversation about how to do the character. And I don't think that conversation is happening.
It's the same way with Dawson. It's probably just Filoni.
Right. And I think that can be part of it too, is like, is that familiarity of like where these are in interviews. Everyone knows that Eckstein would be very involved after a certain point with how Ahsoka's character was crafted and certain decisions that were made. And she would say, I don't think that this fits, or and Filoni would like listen to that. And there would be developments of who she was based on both of them having ownership of the character. And I don't think that's happening here. And I do think that can affect the way the character comes out.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to get that out. But you're right. Sabine and Hera are perfect. I mean, killing
it's like it's so perfect, like watching them.
I do wish that Mary Elizabeth Winstead's headpiece didn't look like it was just rigid and stuck there.
And it doesn't move.
The tentacle piece is not moving. Is like
Ahsoka's are flapping.
Yeah.
And hers are just like they're made of stone.
And Hera's do in the animation, but like whatever. It's whatever.
Even the show, like they, or when I say show, I mean like the anime show Rebels, but that's neither here nor there. The fact is, we have a live action Hera and we have a live action Sabine, and both of them are absolutely killing it.
And I didn't know how I would feel about Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Hera specifically. I know she's a good actor, but she's a fairly big name to be playing this character from an animated show. So, and like, Rosario, not to say Rosario Dawson isn't, but like the actress who plays Sabine is relatively unknown. So she's able to kind of come in and really do her own thing and come in like really unexpectedly. And Mary Elizabeth Winstead comes with some unfortunate baggage, not unfortunate baggage, but just some baggage that, you know who this actor is, you know how they perform, you're ready to see them. And I was surprised at no, that's Hera. I see Hera right away. I'm really happy with this.
I don't know how much that applies across the board. I think Winstead is known, obviously, but I wouldn't say she's like household name level where like everybody's going to pick her out, especially just when she's under all that makeup. If you don't know, I don't think that baggage is really getting in her way. She had to get a Star Wars because her partner's got a Star Wars, so.
And she has that kind of like what I talked about, like that little wink, that little Star Wars wink, that little whimsy she has that in her performance, and it's really nice to see, especially when she's talking to Chopper.
I know you were about to say something, Ben, so I'm going to throw to you before I say what I was going to say.
I was trying to say something and I completely forgot what I was going to say. God darn it!
Rip. You go ahead and find it.
It was a shock to me because actually it was my fiance actually was like looking up characters because she didn't really watch Rebels. She watched parts of it with me, and as we're watching the show, we're just talking about it. And then she like looks up Mary Elizabeth Winstead because like, oh yeah, that's Romano from Scott Pilgrim. And then she goes like, hey, did you know she's married to Ewan McGregor? I'm like, what? I didn't know that. So I figured, that's cute. They're husband and wife team, both in Star Wars. But
they got that Star Wars money. That kid's set for life.
Yeah.
And also, I just realized that both of them were in Birds of Prey. So I'm like, oh shit, they were.
Yes.
Sure. The character got together with a Jedi, and the actor got together with a Jedi.
Yeah. I was gonna say something, but Brandy, you were talking about the twinkle in the eyes, like the Star Wars twinkle, like when she's doing her dialogue with Chopper. I also saw it with one of my biggest hopes of the show. Like when the show started, I was like, I just want to see Jace just once. I want to see her son, and we saw her kid, and I was just like, yay! And it's just
green hair.
It's this green hair. I'm like, you know what? That is totally fine with me. And he's like, I want to be a Jedi. I'm like, oh, Katie, I miss you. My heart.
Well, don't worry. Master Luke is building a temple. You'll go train with Master Luke, and nothing bad will happen. Oh.
I do love like the anime. Like we can make hair more colorful. It's an animated show. We gotta do it. And then getting around to live action, they're like, oh man, this actually lives in the world of Star Wars. we gotta do the hair.
Again, speaking of hair color, during the Hera scene, which is our background, one of the guys has blue hair, and he's like the dad of one of the characters from Resistance. I didn't know that because I didn't watch Resistance, but like that dude's got straight up just like dark blue hair, and I'm like, if this were in a hologram, that would look real silly.
Yeah.
I remember what I was gonna say. Clancy Brown playing Governor Azadi. But he has his character in Rebels and him reprising his role. I was just like really happy. That's one of the reasons why I'm so glad I watched Rebels beforehand. And
I guess if he had to reprise one of his Star Wars roles, it had to be the human one and not Savage Opress from Clone Wars. Fine.
In the small counterpoint to that, Ben, it's always interesting who gets to come back for their voice acting role and who doesn't get invited back.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, having an old man continue to be an old man is pretty easy.
Yeah, but I mean, we've talked about the actor playing Hera could have played Hera under all the makeup and that kind of thing. Winstead's doing a great job. Totally happy for it. It's just one of those decisions where you go, I get Sabine. I get it. Hera, I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where I think I was less on board with the whole recast of the Rebels characters when it was just Ahsoka, when we just had Ahsoka, because my perception of that casting is so bad. Like I was just like, well, why don't we just bring the actors who most of them can play the characters? But now that we're here and I see that once again Sabine and Hera are very good. These two actresses are very good in these roles, and there's very clearly these characters. I'm okay with it. But Sparks is right. It is always interesting when you get like Katie Sackhoff and Clancy Brown, and then everyone else gets recast.
Yeah.
I unfortunately, I don't want to talk about it too long, but like, I also unfortunately think it does have to do with like star power, because like once you leave animation, you get this like, even if it's a Disney Plus thing and like you've been a character for 10 years, like just like Ashley, I've seen like people don't know who that is, and that sucks. And like that's just like, if you gave her a chance, people would know who she is, right? But like they won't let her leave animation, so it's like it's kind of sucks on every front.
Right.
Yeah. But anyway, if Clancy Brown wants to come back to play Savage Opress, even though the character is dead, I'm here for it.
Absolutely. Yo, man, flashback.
Strong character.
For Hera, I think Winstead does a really good job of getting the like back in the groove of the mom character and managing everyone and handling it like she feels very true to Hera. That's what Hera did.
I will say, like, I really liked her in the first 2 episodes. Like, I think a lot of her dialogue, it feels she's giving a good performance, but a lot of her dialogue is like really reactionary and kind of generic. The 3rd episode, I think she really gets to shine, especially in this scene. Where she's talking to the Senate, because like then she gets to be a mom and she gets to be a general. She did cool stuff in the Imperial place. Not to discount the last episode, but like here, I felt the entirety of her character, where she's representing a fleet of people. She's also a mom. She's talking to a friend. She's like a fully faceted character, and she's doing that Star Wars wink and a smile, like she's hanging out with Chop. And I'm like, you're talking to a senator. Show some respect. I'm just kidding.
I want to, because you brought it up, I want to focus on that scene a little bit, if it's okay. Because I think that there's a lot of really good stuff in this scene. Specifically, I really like that Hera is like, we know from Mandalorian specifically, that the senators are just kind of like, oh, the war's over. We've won. The Empire is nothing anymore. It's like, and so like, I really kind of appreciate like someone like Hera coming to them and be like, if we don't act, well, this war won't be over. There will be another one. And I really like that Mon Mothma is there, because watching Andor is really nice here, because you can see Mon Mothma going like, she's right. Like you see it in her face. Hera's right. Yeah. She just can't do anything because of the other senators. Now the senators don't think she's right.
She knows who Thrawn is.
That was like, not the point I thought you were going to make, because I was also going to say, like, you can look at Andor and also know that Mon Mothma is really happy to get back to the system the way it was before, because she thinks that worked just fine.
And look how well it's working.
Well, but sure, Republic. But like, the way I read that scene, or the way I see her face, the way Mon Mothma is playing that scene, is that she knows that the Empire is still a danger, that Thrawn is still a danger, and that Hera is right. The other senators just won't do anything about it. And while even, yes, Chancellor Mon Mothma is comfortable with the system and is happy that the Republic is back, she's still the person smart enough to see. She was the person who funded Leia to build the resistance against the First Order. So Mon Mothma's not stupid. So she knows that this is something that can be taken away, and she knows that Hera is right, but none of the senators, and she's frustrated because none of the other senators will do anything about it. And I really like that scene.
Yeah, I love the line where. Sorry, Ryan. My favorite line in the entire show thus far is when Hera is talking to that one senator, Ozario, that one guy.
The blue guy, the blue-haired man.
Yeah. And she looks and goes, "Did you fight in the war?" And he goes, "No." And he's like, "Oh, so you just wait to see which side came out on top then?" Because he's constantly saying, like, oh, because, he's like the devil's advocate. He's the one senator who's like constantly pushing back and saying why we shouldn't give more resources to Hera. And Hera's just like, "Hey, you ever fight? Oh, you did it? Then shut up."
He said, "We won the war," and he didn't do shit.
Yeah,
he did do jack
like,
shit.
And we're very familiar, again, because of Andor, with exactly what senators were doing on Coruscant at the time of the Empire being in power.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that there's a big just like, oh, the power needle's over here. Well, this is where we go. oh, power, or you're a Mon Mothma who's actually trying to upend it. But like
Yeah.
that, we know that was few and far between. And it's certainly not any of the people standing next
And
to
I
her in
love-
this conversation. These people who, when they're in this scene, I'm watching them and I'm like, you're going to get blown up in a few years and I'm okay with it.
True.
Except for Mon Mothma, I like her.
What I like about this scene, because like I really like the scene a lot. Again, it shows I don't want every show to be Andor, right? But like when you're dealing with rebellion, and you're dealing with fascism, you're dealing with stuff like that. Like you have to talk about war, and the fact that Chancellor Mon Mothma is here after all that stuff, and she is once again in a place where she has power, but she doesn't have power. And we're back to the same system that is failing, even though it's supposed to be the right system. And she's like, oh no, we're here again. And to Brandon's point of like, oh no, Thrawn's gonna come back with this republic. Oh shit, dog. We really gotta do something about this. Well, the other guy's like, we're fine. What's there's more than one galaxy? Get out of here.
And again, what's really interesting about it is that you can kind of see the seeds being sown for when Leia will come up and say, hey, the First Order's a problem. Yep. The Senators won't do anything. And Mon Mothma is the one like, okay, you go there. You go to the First Order space. I'll fund you some money on my own and we'll get this done. And like you see that, you can kind of see that thread. And I really like that. And I don't want to discount it real quickly. I having seen Resistance, I really appreciated seeing the main character's dad in this scene. I thought that was kind of a clever nod.
No, I do appreciate that 100%. Like again, it just makes everything feel like it's all together. Like that's fun world building.
Especially because Resistance, that dude's a dick.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he's a bad boy.
Can we talk about the villains really quick?
We have to.
Skull and Hati.
I love them. I love all the villains in this. I love Morgan, the Night Sister. I really like the big bushy, not Sith Lord, but kind of Sith Lord. For sake of argument, I'm gonna call him a Sith Lord.
Baylan Skull.
And he's not a Sith Lord. He's just a mercenary.
He's a former Jedi.
He's just a mercenary.
I really like him because I just don't know what I like it, but I don't know what his deal is. But also I just like how, like when he first shows up and he stabs that New Republic officer, is this, you're right about one thing. We all know Jedi.
Just like
and Ahsoka. I'm just like, ooh, I love this. I don't know. I really like him. And also I kind of like how his apprentice is just like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm just going to do what he says because I don't want to get on his bad side.
Well, Baylan's dope because he clearly is just a mercenary doing things for money. He doesn't even agree with what they're doing. Like when they're like, yo, go kill Ahsoka. He's like, oh man, that sucks. She's like one of the last Jedi around. He's like, yo, are you feeling sentimental? He's like, damn right. Like, I'll do it.
No,
I'm bummed about it.
No, I like it even better what she says, which is she says is that sentiment. And he says, it's true.
It's true. Yeah. He said, yeah. I mean, I think he's like that does bum him out. He's going to do it. But like, oh man, there's only like 7 of us left. You guys got to make it 6. Oh, well, coin's coin.
Yeah. I really like Ray Stevenson in this. I'm really glad about it too, because we know this is like one of his last things. So I really like this character and I think it's really fun. And I don't think this is, I believe this is intentional. I think this is kind of like dark Qui-Gon energy almost, like, because we get the reference to Phantom Menace when the two Jedi show up in Phantom Menace. We get that. It's very much the same scene.
Sure. I thought you were going to talk about the stabbing at the end of the first episode, but
no. It's very much like we get that we get that parallel, and I think that's supposed to cue the audience into like, oh, this character like Qui-Gon if Qui-Gon went dark. And I appreciate that because like I love Qui-Gon and I love Ray Stevenson and it's working for me.
Yeah, and I really like his second in command. I love because she just has like the widest eyes and she's just like, I'm gonna kill you at every moment opportunity that I can. She looks scary all the time. She's so intense.
She's got Palm Clementif from Dead Reckoning.
Yes, she's absolutely Paris in space, 100%. I like that she's like, I'm just hanging out with this guy doing what I'm doing, and then like once the operation happens, she's like, yo, so like if we find this Thrawn dude, what's gonna happen? And he's like, yo, man, we're about to be the most powerful people in the universe. And she's like, hell yeah. Okay, cool. Hell yeah. And then she's like done with Morgan. She's like, Morgan messes up, like, oh, Morgan, you suck. I'm gonna go finish this Jedi off for you. Like, I love her attitude. I love them. I think they're awesome. Like, they're in the show just enough. Like, I don't want them explored too much. Maybe Baylan more, because like that dude was a Jedi once. Like, I do kind of want to know his story, but like I think they're great, fun, like yo, these are our mini bosses for the season. I love a good mini boss. I love that.
I think the opening is really, really strong.
Yeah. And dude, just the way he's like so technical. I'm like, man, that's some cool choreography.
Yeah, he's very it's what's interesting is because like he's got like the opposite style of Count Dooku, right? Count Dooku had a very like flowy, like kind of a rapier style of
I was about to say rapier,
whereas he has very much like a knight, like a very
he looks like a knight.
Yeah, like a knight of the round table, kind of like, you know, he's holding his lightsaber like this all the time.
Like a broadsword.
Like
he's very rigid, whereas like he's very rigid in his movements where it's like it's quick, whereas there's not a lot of flair like with Dooku. Dooku's very
theatrical.
Yeah, I can only assume cats are doing stuff right now on Sparks and Ryan's thing. But yeah, Dooku's very theatrical, whereas with Balin, he's just he's quick, rigid, which I kind of like, honestly. I'm fine. I don't know why. I just like these villains. I just like these characters a whole lot. And I know we haven't seen a whole lot of them, or we haven't been with them a whole lot, and there's still like more stuff to find out about these characters. But I'm looking for it's weird. Everything about the show that doesn't involve Ahsoka directly, I am more interested in than the stuff that's going on with Ahsoka.
Well, it's a good thing. It is kind of a good thing, I guess. And then this isn't just an Ahsoka show, because luckily we're not following just her a lot. It's always her and Huyang, or her and Sabine, or Sabine. So it's like the stuff that might suck, we're not always with it alone. So I guess that's a positive.
Before we get too far away from this, I also want to mention that there's another Phantom Menace reference in this episode that I quite like, which is not the stabbing, which is the one where Hattie is on the hill, and the drone comes up, much like Darth Maul and Tatooine. I was like, that's cute. I appreciate that.
I really like the opening of the show with the red letter crawl.
I love it.
Which was like a throwback to the Legends books. When they wanted to get dark, they did red letter crawl text.
I love that.
And just like the setup and the presentation, the cinematography, the music is all really strong. The music is really strong.
The music is so good.
The music is very good. Kevin Kiner is in top. Kevin Kiner, who's the composer for Clone Wars and Rebels, comes back to do Ahsoka, and he's doing some of his best work.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think all these episodes are strong, but I watched, so I listened to music, but like the first time I really keyed in and was like really listening was episode 3 during the Purgle scene. Because then it turns into like, this is like an actual like movie score.
Right.
Like this is like a movie score. And like, I really like the scene, like I wouldn't say it's like movie level quality, like dogfighting, but it's the best on TV.
He also did a thing where when Sabine's going to the cockpit to fire, you get just like the very first notes of the time when Luke does it in the original Star Wars. Dun, 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 dun. But then it immediately,
that's right.
Like, it gives you like 3 or 4 of those notes, and then immediately dovetails into something else, and is like, we're going to do something new though.
Yeah, the music is extraordinary, I think.
And that's because he's very familiar with the world of Star Wars. He's been riffing on Star Wars music for a long time.
Yeah.
You talked about the space battle sequence, and I do want to mention that I know I'm really hot. I know I came in really hot on my dislike of Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka, but that is the most I've liked her, is in that sequence when she and Sabine are actually bantering back and forth and working together as a team. I think that's a really well written scene. And I think the space battle looks really good. And I just, everything about that scene just really sung to me. Even and I love, man, ask Sarah, because we watched this together, but when the Purgle showed up, like, oh my God, like you could not contain my excitement at that moment.
Looks really good. And I love that this is a dogfight scene. They're like, yo, why don't we just make our spaceships into biplanes? Let's just do it. Let's just do it. This is a World War II scene in space right now. Let's just do it. It looks great. I love Ahsoka's ship, the way that like the wings can spin around like when it lands, but in space. That is such a cool design. I love it. Man, a lightsaber fighting off like dog fighting, and she does like gravity flips with her like her gravity boots. I'm like, this is really fun. And I did see
that's
some
really
people
clever stuff
like,
too.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, this is stupid. I'm like, yo, it's Star Wars. Like, what do you want? Like, what do you want?
Sabine uses the ship to catch Ahsoka because she's floating out in space. Like that's really fun stuff. I really appreciated that.
And
that kind of like clever blocking.
And I agree with like even though like I'm hotter on the Ahsoka stuff, like I do think this is where she's opening up. And I think again by design, that is maybe it was a fumble to start her that like kind of zen. But I do think episode 3 she is opening up, and like I do really like the dialogue between her and Sabine. It's really fun. And like after Ahsoka like does some space shit and she's just floating in space, like, hey, did you fix the ship yet? And I'm like, that felt like a Clone Wars moment, right? Like that was really great. Like I was like, I really like this third episode a lot.
Yeah, even like when Ahsoka's like floating through space, she's like, "Hey, did you go?" It's like, "Cool, now get me." It's like that. Yeah. I would actually agree that this is the first like watching like once we get to episode 3, this is where Ahsoka, like Rosario Dawson's Ahsoka, feels more like Ahsoka from the animated series a little bit more, even in Rebels, because I wouldn't say that she's very jokey, very punny in Rebels, but she has more of her personality show up. She's much more, maybe not relaxed, but she's opening up a little bit more. And I actually agree with Brandon that episode 3 is where it's where like, okay, I can see more stuff with Ahsoka. She's not very like, the stoicism problem that we mentioned earlier. And just like the second she said, Sabine, what do you need? Instead of telling her what Sabine needs, it's telling her like, Sabine, I need you to do this. She's like, okay, what do you need? And let me help you out. It was definitely a moment that's like, okay, now she's understanding that Sabine knows how to do stuff. She mentions it like, hey, you're a Mandalorian. You know how to handle weapons very well. You just need to do the Force bit. But what she's like, hey, you've been in this situation countless times with the crew of the Ghost. What do you need to make this fight go for your way? And I really love that moment.
Yeah.
You guys ever go ahead, Sparks? I was going to say something stupid, but if you have a more important thing.
Oh no, please give us the stupid.
I was just going to say, I appreciate that. I really like Hu Yang. Is where this came from. David Tennant, I love.
Oh yeah,
and
that's not stupid.
No, the stupid part is, do you guys ever think about how good droid technology is in the Star Wars universe? If Hu Yang is 500 years old, and then
we've played Jedi Survivor.
I was literally about to go there.
Yeah. Z.
Yeah, the 2-year-old
from the High Republic.
Like, Ben, I know you've only played 4 minutes of Jedi Survivor, but have you met Z yet?
Not yet.
Jesus, you're never playing that game.
He's definitely not part of that review. I'll tell you that right now.
That's fine. There's a lot of games coming up.
That review never happens.
We're here on Hu Yang.
It will.
Hu Yang.
Shut down your negativity. Stop it.
Hu Yang, we're talking about fun stuff today, and Hu Yang is great. I fully expected David Tennant to be a cameo in the show, 100%.
A lot of people did.
I did not expect him to be like a full cast member. Not just like,
smart.
I know he's not on set, but like, that's a puppet. Sometimes it's CG, but that's just Rosario Dawson and a puppet half the time. And I'm like, wow, thank you, Star Wars. You didn't even spend $1 million a minute on a robot that could sit there. Wow, brilliant.
It's so great to have him in this fully formed presence.
Mm-hmm.
Like as a character that he's already played before, but like it's logical and it works.
Yeah.
Why he would be paired up with Ahsoka at this point in time.
Yeah.
If he had survived, like it's really cool. I like it a lot.
Hu Yang, by the way, Ben, is a droid from the Clone Wars. We met him in an episode where we meet a bunch of like younglings, and he helps them build their lightsabers during the Clone Wars.
There was a clip on I think there was a clip of an interview with Dave Filoni talking about Hu Yang that I saw on TikTok, where they also like put in the clip where he's talking with the younglings about he's like expecting a youngling's lightsaber, saying like, "Hey, you need to fix this or else it's gonna kill you." And I'm like, oh, so that's where Hu Yang is. But then,
and I really like the scene real quickly, just because I brought that up. I wanted to say a point with that, which was that I really like the scene when she's talking about Ezra, when Hu Yang is talking about Ezra's lightsaber now being Sabine's, because Sabine has modified it. And he's like, this is, for all intents and purposes, yours now. So you should take ownership of it. Mm-hmm. I really like that scene. I really like all the scenes with Hu Yang. I think he's really funny and really matter of fact, but like that scene specifically, it was a standout for me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I cannot believe it took me this long to realize that Hu Yang was David Tennant. It wasn't
man.
like
David Tennant's having a good year.
Episodes 1 and 2, I'm like, why does this droid sound so familiar. And then later on, I'm like scrolling through TikTok. I was like, oh yeah, we have David Tennant back as Hu Yang. I'm like, mother trucker. I should have known.
David Tennant. This Good Omens and Doctor Who in a couple months. Good year for David Tennant.
Well, it's fair, Ben, because you didn't watch Clone Wars, so you didn't see Hu Yang before.
Hu Yang?
It's a weird point to bring this up, but I think it's when it came to mind for me, so I think I will. I think it will be a problem, actively a problem going forward, to not recast Luke and Leia and Han, and have them be part of the story. Yes. I think we've I was thinking about it, and I'm like, boy, it'd be really cool if Hu Yang could like look at Luke's lightsaber and talk about how he was inspired by Anakin's in creating it. And I'm like, what a neat conversation that'd be to have. I don't want it with the AI.
Dude, here's the thing. Like, I understand brand recognition, all that stuff. You want Mark Hamill to be Luke forever. I understand that. But there was a time when you just casted actors to play characters. And that was how Hollywood worked for a long time. And I don't understand that the money that they could be making by simply casting someone else to just like, yo, it's another movie with this cast in between these movies, and here's a fun little adventure. It doesn't have to be the grand scope.
They made every excuse in the book because they got afraid of Solo.
I know. And like, now that we're so far away from Solo, y'all, after the production problems, that movie's good. That movie's totally fine. Y'all are angry about a movie that's not even bad.
Right.
Y'all have released worse movies that you put more effort in.
But they took bad release timing, because they shouldn't have released at the time of year that they did, and mixed responses to Star Wars stuff post Last Jedi.
Yeah.
As that means people don't want different actors playing Solo, but Donald Glover can still be Lando. But we can't recast the core three. And I'm like, no, you can. You can. I promise you can. You should. Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to be on it for too long.
No, it is the truth.
But it is something where I'm like, we've got Mothma here. Brandon was just referencing Mothma's relationship with Leia. I'm like, I don't think we can do Thrawn to the size and degree that the story warrants, and not like, if this were animation, it wouldn't even be a discussion. The characters would be in it. Like we'd be blending those stories at this point.
Instead of getting everyone that we need, we're just going to get Robot Luke. For that Thrawn movie.
It's not a criticism of this show, but I do wish we know that this show started as an animated show. We know that is empirical fact at this point. This show was meant to be an animated show that was going to be set in the same time period, and then Mandalorian happened, and Dave Filoni got attached to Mandalorian with Jon Favreau and got interested in converting it to a live action show. And that I lament the parallel universe where that didn't happen, and we got this as an animated show.
I kind of agree, but now that we're here, and I really like the show a lot, I'd rather this was in live action. If we are doing a big, like, we're going to do a movie in theaters with Thrawn, and everybody in the whole Star Wars galaxy is going to be like, yo, man, everything's built up to this moment. We're doing this. This is the thing that happens before the First Order come around. I want that to be in live action. Because unfortunately, the way that these things work, it feels like it legitimizes it. And if it's an animation, it feels like it's not.
Yeah.
Like, the thing is, I'll be able to take my wife to see it, and we'll talk about it. Yeah. And if it stays in animation, she'll never watch it.
Yeah.
And like, those are two separate sides of that coin. And like, I think the only thing that's holding back a live action version is the fact that I do fear they are unwilling to put Han, Luke, and Leia in the story because of it.
Yeah,
that's what I was getting at. And like, I made sure to say that this wasn't criticism of the show, because it's not. I really like the show. I'm really happy that we have it in this format. And I we could not have done the big like crossover Heir to the Empire movie if this was animated. We couldn't. It just wouldn't be possible. I mean, it would be if people were more open-minded than they are. Actually,
a better world.
A better world, but we're not in that world, and I totally understand that, and I'm happy with the world we're in. I just, because of that fact specifically, that we can't have Luke, Han, and Leia. I mean, we could, but not deep faked.
I mean, like, let's not say that they're not going to do it. They might.
It's not going to be, I don't think, anytime soon.
No. Well, specifically soonish.
Well, here's the thing, like, because we know that they're going to do more Rey stuff after episode 9. So I think they're going to want to move forward instead of trying to how do we solve this Han problem? We don't have a Han problem. We don't do Han Solo for a little bit. And that sucks because I like Han Solo. I'd like more Han content. But like they feel so restricted when nobody cares about that shit. Nobody cares. As long as the story's good, just give us a Han Solo story.
No, I mean because we know we're getting that movie. That's the Thrawn wrap-up movie.
No, yes.
And like that would be where you have them.
Yeah.
And they could.
Yeah.
It's not set in stone. We don't know. They could decide, yes, we'll recast. All 9 Hurricks back. Donald Glover's in.
I would lose
because Lando went really well. They're
Could
both
you
back,
imagine?
and here's who's playing Luke, and here's who's playing Leia.
God, I would lose my
It's
mind.
Billy Lord as Leia.
Forget she was a 9. Who cares?
Someone put up a thing saying that, like, you know, someone put up the scene where Ahsoka and Luke met in the Book of Boba Fett. And I was looking at that scene and I was like, I would care a lot more about this scene, even with Ahsoka as even with Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka. If there was anyone else, if there was someone there talking to her, because like it doesn't matter to me that Luke looks like Mark Hamill. It matters to me that Luke is there. It would be a really good scene if Luke and Ahsoka. Like I would love. Oh my god, the childhood fan in me being like, oh my god, what if Luke and Ahsoka met? And how cool would that be? And have it, and to finally see it on screen and have it on screen in the way that we had it was really underwhelming because like it just looked like Rosario Dawson was talking to a robot and not even an interesting robot like Hu Yang.
Yeah. And the most interesting thing about this is like we're not even that far from that happening, but like the further we get from all of these deepfakes that have happened, like the Rogue One and the Mandalorian and Boba Fett, like they just don't look good. And it's only been like a year, and I'm already like I see the faults in this Luke Skywalker, who when I saw it is really impressive. You look at it for more than 1 minute, and you're like, no, it's not real. And it's just like technology can only advance so far. Why are you spending $20 million when you can just hire an actor? It's just like we're at the point where we need to do that. Like Spark said, like we just need to stop doing this and just hire actors to play these characters.
Well, and I think it's possible. I'm not going to rule it out because I feel like you can't do the story that it feels like they're setting up to do.
If it's supposed to be monumental, yes.
And not involve those characters in some way.
Yeah.
Like it actively, it feels like stupid. It just feels stupid. There's some amount even of I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but like it just I don't see how you do it. I don't see how you make it what it's meant to be and don't have those characters there.
Why not make the best thing that you can possibly make? Because like nothing is stopping you except for yourself.
Right.
Everyone wants to see these characters. Like it's silly. It's silly. But you've been trying to talk for 40 minutes. I'm sorry.
No, the only thing I'm going to say about that, because not to be devil's advocate and not to defend Disney for doing what they're doing with Robot Mark Hamill, is I could see why they're doing it and why they're not recasting Han, Luke, and Leia, or at least Luke and Leia. Because if Alden Ehrenreich came back as Han Solo, I will be 100% for it. Now I know I'm not the hottest person on the Solo movie, but I do agree it's a fine movie. It's not bad. And Alden Ehrenreich does a really good job playing Han Solo, and I want him to come back to reprise the character. I think he's a very good fit. But the reason why, or at least the consensus I'm coming to, is because Disney's too freaking scared to do it, because they know no matter what they do, the backlash is going to be immense. It's like they have dug themselves in so far, they put themselves so far in a corner that no matter what they do, to appease the fans en masse who were so pissed off about Last Jedi, they're always going to get yelled at. They're always going to have some sort of thing. And
you said it. You said it, though. You said it, though. No matter what they do. So just do it.
Yeah,
just
no matter what. You can't walk on eggshells the next, 50 years of Star Wars making? Like, come on.
Yeah, and plus the newer, like I know there's kids, I know there's people out there who absolutely adore the sequel trilogy. I like the sequel, at least 2/3 of the sequel trilogy, and I'm just glad that we're getting more Star Wars. I mentioned that Rebels kind of reignited my love of Star Wars. I wasn't like tired of Star Wars, but it's like there's really good stuff in here, and seeing Ahsoka is like I'm on the Star Wars train. I'm ready to put me back on it. I'm ready to see more Star Wars.
Put me in, coach.
And I 100% agree. I want to see Luke and Leia in this show. I want to see them in between Force Awakens and Return of the Jedi. I want to see how they interact, what's going on. And I 100% agree. Recast them. just recast them with younger actors. I'm all for that. We're still gonna get Luke Skywalker. We're just not gonna get a 70-year-old Mark Hamill, and I'm 100% okay with that. 100% fine with it.
Well,
most people are.
I think for this, they've shot themselves in the foot with it, right? Because I don't think my whole thing is I don't see how you don't involve Luke, Leia, and Han when Ahsoka's met Luke now.
Yeah.
Like, because you established it, that door is open. There's no reason that these characters wouldn't be involved. Why wouldn't Luke want to help save Ezra?
And a galactic threat of the world's smartest supervillain has returned, and for some reason he has an army with him, and we have to fight him. Like, you're not going to call the Jedi, you know?
Also, just like contextually what this show does, like, and we knew that with Rebels being done, but like it's very clear here. Leia knows Ezra's name. Leia's in this too, and Leia knows he's missing, and she knows that these people care about it.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense for Leia not to be advocating for them.
Everybody knows Ezra Bridger's name, which I didn't think about, because, like, yeah, he did save all of them. He did.
Well,
so, like,
Leia,
he sent that broadcast out to
that's right, yeah,
fight the Empire.
Leia and Billy D. Williams, Lando. They met Ezra. They were in Rebels.
That's right.
And there was I just Anyway, let's move on.
And here's the thing, like, it's completely different because it's a child, but they casted a young Leia. It's not like, you know, they didn't de-age. They didn't put like Carrie Fisher's face on a child, right? So, like, right? Could you imagine that nightmare? That's like some Twilight shit. They have already. All right, listen. This is a young person. That's not Carrie Fisher. That person grows up into somebody else. They already did it. They can just say that Leia grew up to look like this person, and it's just like, nobody cares. No, you're the only person who cares, y'all. We know Carrie Fisher's passed away.
These characters are bigger than a single actor.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That's all it is. It's
Yes.
the same thing that, like, credits where credits due. Edward Norton made very clear when he knew he wasn't coming back as the Hulk because Mark Ruffalo wasn't. He said the Hulk's bigger than a single actor.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm fully supportive. Like, you know, it didn't work out, and I hope that they do the best they can because, and I'm going to be watching because the character's always bigger than us.
All right. Let's talk about the Star Killer in the room. What's going on with Marc?
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know where I land on the is he Star Killer or not theory.
Because people are saying he's Ezra, and I'm like, he's not Ezra. That would make sense.
Ahsoka should have sensed it.
Yeah, like, absolutely, 100%. I think I think it's a fun theory. I'm not buying it real quick. Like, I don't buy into it, but I think, like, there is a way of being like, this is Vader's failed apprentice that nobody knows about. I took him in because he was going to get discarded. Yeah. Now he's Marok when he wasn't. Blah blah blah. So, like, I know you have a good point about this.
No, I was going to say in response to the Ezra thing, because before you.
Please,
that's why I want to.
Ezra time.
I think if you were going to make Ezra ultimately someone on the dark side,
yes,
it needed to happen in Rebels. Like, they flirted with that line for a long time, and I saw a path where I'm like, you could make at the end of Ezra's story that he goes dark and that kind of thing. But I think we passed that point, and I think it'll be a really cheap story move if this is Ezra. Oh, yeah, I'm just like, I don't think it is, but, like, if it is, that's gonna be really, really unfortunate.
And how did he get back?
You will have to do a lot of legwork to make up for that. And I just don't see a way you can do it in a way that feels true to the story of Rebels.
It wouldn't make sense either, just like narratively speaking, because before this show, we just thought that Ezra and Thrawn were in the unknown regions, not a separate galaxy. That is apparently very difficult to traverse to. That was not known until this show. So it'd be very difficult to explain, like, oh yeah, Ezra fell off the Star Destroyer midway through. Like, what happened? How did he get
dotted?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
I'd be really disappointed in that. So I hope that's not the case. But to your point about could this be a reworking of doing Star Killer in canon?
This whole show being about apprentices, I like your take on it.
I think that's a really good idea when you think about it. It is Anakin's apprentice against Darth Vader's apprentice. And I think that parallelism is a really cool thing that you can definitely do.
Even his thrown away apprentice. Like maybe he doesn't even know that he's an Inquisitor. He just like he got thrown away, and then
the one who walked away and the one who got thrown away.
Absolutely. And then at the end, like again, Marc might not be like the main character, but he might be a really important like.
It's also
a force against Ahsoka.
It's also a path for her to be able to heal
with Sabine
wounds. No, I was gonna say wounds that she has, because part of it is that she's carrying guilt for what happened to Anakin.
Absolutely.
We know this. Like, we know that this is something where, like, not that she, whether or not she should isn't really the factor. It's that we know that she feels like, had I not, and she's probably right, but it's not her responsibility, but had she not left Anakin, would Anakin have turned to the dark side?
Yeah.
The Revenge of the Sith goes differently.
The guilt she feels for it.
Revenge of the Sith goes differently if Anakin can confide in Ahsoka when he finds out that Palpatine is the Emperor.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that goes differently with her being present and her knowing that he was in love with Padme.
Yes.
We know that Dave Filoni has flirted with making Starkiller an Inquisitor before. There was talk of doing it at Rebels, so it wouldn't surprise me that he finally decided to do it now.
I just listened to a recent Sam Witwer interview where he's like, you know, I don't know anything about anything, you know, like this has been brought up before, you know, of having Starkiller's importance downsized a little bit, but to bring him into canon. So like this idea, like you just said, Brent, has been flirted with before. So like, I think it'd be awesome. I think that'd be really cool. Again, he doesn't have to be, you know, the Force Unleashed version where he's like blowing up buildings. You know, you've never seen the Force this way. 390X on your PC and shit. Like, but I think that would be really cool. And again, to Sparks' point of like the lost apprentice versus like the failed apprentice idea is really, really, really cool. Because again, I don't think you bring a character like Marc in who has a voice changer, who has a mask, who is mysterious for no reason. Because if you do, then it's just like we're just doing like a mystery box character for no reason. Like I think there has to be some purpose. Like he's not J.J. Abrams. Like I think Filoni has an idea what he's doing.
Right.
If we don't see helicopter lightsabers, we riot.
Dude, the second he pulled it out, and I thought he was gonna start. Before he threw it, I thought he was gonna go up. Like it's close enough.
I want to see it.
I think there's a really cool and interesting way that you can do the idea of Starkiller, and again, like this idea of the two apprentices of what are functionally two different identities
100%.
of the same person.
I think that's a cool ass idea.
I think it does make, frankly, it brings a lot of like, why is Hayden Christensen in the show? It can bring a lot of that to the surface too. Of like, why does Ahsoka start thinking more about Anakin? It's because she's directly being confronted with the actions of who he later became,
and who he and as that person he did to another person.
Right.
Yeah.
And like what that means, and having to kind of acknowledge that and come to terms with it in herself, and what that means for her being a master, and her own fears about failing.
Even the trauma that Starkiller could have succumbed to because being Darth Vader's apprentice could be, she could put that on her also, because like she could think that Darth Vader was a more ruthless master than Anakin was because Ahsoka walked away. Now that's not necessarily true. We know that Darth Vader's just an asshole, but she could put that on her, and it'd be a really interesting drama to work through.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of character rich story if it is a form of Starkiller. And it's hard for me to imagine anything else that would be worthwhile.
And the last bad guy that we have to talk about is Thrawn, who now that we're 3 episodes in, we're almost halfway through. I don't think Thrawn's going to be a big part of the show. I think he will show up in the end. I think we will get flashbacks because we see him in the trailer, which means I think he is in a show in some capacity, but I don't think it's going to be an episode 8 teaser and I'm going to do this myself, you know, and then the movie he shows up. I think he will be in the show in some capacity.
Well, since you bring it up, like I guess in my head, there's never been a version where I thought this was a one-off.
Well,
like,
no.
Like there's going to be a season 2 of Ahsoka, I assume.
Oh, I see what you mean. I thought,
I never assumed this was a single season show.
I didn't think about it, honestly.
So I never assumed that, like, especially, and I'm all the more convinced of that because I think if this is a single season show, then the pacing is really bad. If this is not a single season show, I think the pacing's great.
Let's see.
But like we're the speed that we're moving at, I think is very good if this is meant for more than a single season.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also was under the impression that there would be a second season. I know they haven't said anything since, but we know that every Star Wars show has had multiple seasons, and or has 2. Initially, it was going to have 5, but decided
everything
to do 2.
except Book of Boba Fett.
everything except Book of Boba Fett. A Mandalorian's 3 seasons, going on its 4th. I also assumed that Ahsoka would be at least 2 seasons before we got to Heir to the Empire.
I guess I just didn't think about it because, like, I guess because it feels like more prestige for some reason than like Mandalorian.
Sure.
But like, I guess it's not really. It's like another 8-episode show.
I figured because of when they said, and this was like before the strikes and everything, but when they said they expected Filoni's movie to come around, which is like 2026.
That's what I'm looking when
I
they
think
said that movie's coming out. Yeah,
it's a while out.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know for sure because they just said like they have 3 Star Wars movie dates, and they didn't say which one belongs to which.
Because I'm saying, like, with the strikes now, I bet everything's gonna get pushed. But like, I could see if a movie's releasing in 3 years, I could see another season. Yeah,
this is what I was thinking. It's like I'm like that movie's pretty far out if the expectation is the end of this show, and then you're waiting for that movie. I think that window is going to be much closer, especially because Mandalorian's happening in the same time frame.
Yes,
and going to be affected by things. I think that there's going to be like this season. I think is just about Thrawn getting here.
Yes,
and the next season of Mandalorian and the next season of Ahsoka would be about
bridging that together,
knowing that Thrawn is out there and how both parties are dealing with the effects of the fact that they are aware the Empire is amassing, but the New Republic isn't doing anything about it.
And then that leads into the movie,
right?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I assumed. So and like this is relevant to our conversation about just these 3 episodes. Again, like I think that the pacing is moving really, really well for a show with multiple seasons. If the goal is to get us through the entire story that happens before the big movie with Thrawn, the show is moving too slow. Way too slow.
I'll tell you what, like Loki is not I thought, because Loki's my favorite of the Marvel TV shows. I think that show's great. Like, I didn't think that show would get a 2nd season just because of like how prestige that feels. And that show got a 2nd season. So I was just like operating under a different idea for some reason. But like, yeah, we have 3 years till that movie. Like I
probably 4 now.
Yes, realistically, yeah.
For whatever reason, Lucasfilm seems more interested in doing multiple seasons of their shows than Marvel is of theirs. You know, you do kind of have the feeling that like Marvel, you have to pull teeth to get a 2nd season of your show at Marvel. But for Star Wars, they're like, well, we'll do a couple.
Not to tangent for too long, but I do think the intention, at least when they started with the Marvel shows, was just to use the shows as opportunities to explore other corners and introduce characters whose stories would then continue over in the movies, which we're now getting for the first time really with the Marvels. But I think that was the intention. So the intention wasn't so much to have multiple season shows. There is word going around that the next show that's going to get a 2nd season is the one that I think should, which is She-Hulk.
Yeah.
But you know, there are some of them where they are kind of set up to be like, here's an origin story for someone you're going to see in a movie at some point. And like, I think that just the structure is different, but it does make sense for the Star Wars shows to have multiple seasons. Star Wars is weirdly as a universe built more for that.
Yeah, I agree. I initially, I love a Star Destroyer hyperspace ring, just the silliness of it.
Oh, dude, yeah.
I like hyperspace rings. The hyperspace rings are really fun because, like, if you're a prequelist like me, obviously, like, you recognize the shape of it being like the Jedi Starfighters get in a hyperspace ring, and that's how they have hyperspace. Star Destroyers already have hyperspace, but this is like super duper hyperspace to get through galaxies.
It's to try and get out of the galaxy. We haven't talked about it.
Yeah,
it's to try to get out of the galaxy,
which you can't do.
To try to get out of the galaxy to another galaxy. They reference another galaxy.
So they have 6 hyperdrives, and then they have a super Star Destroyer hyperdrive at the bottom, and that is more powerful and it can move faster than any recorded device before. So they're going far. That's awesome.
And they're like, they're like, there is a hyperspace lane that can be accessed through the galaxy because the Purgles traverse it. We just don't have the capability of doing it right now.
Yep. Do you think this is their fun way with playing with the Legends idea of the Usang Voss without actually fully doing the Usang Voss?
I had the same exact thought.
Yeah, 100%. I
really don't want to get to the point where they reveal that Palpatine did all this because.
So here's the thing. Because I read that first the new Thrawn book, the 2015 Thrawn book. They absolutely are implementing that 100% without saying it. Thrawn has there's something that he is and his people have been scared of forever that is slowly approaching, and that's where the Chiss are. But now he's here. He's like, there's something coming, Emperor, and I just want to make sure we're fully prepared for it. So yes, That shit is definitely happening.
Totally different from what I'm saying.
No?
I'm fine with Thrawn being afraid of this threat.
Yeah.
I don't want you to say everything Palpatine did was like, actually, the reason why I was bad was because I was actually protecting the galaxy.
They're not doing that.
That's what I don't want.
No, yeah. They are going, yes, Thrawn is going to use the Emperor to do that.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So
Thrawn having that perspective is totally different.
Yeah.
Again, we're come up against a Filoni plot line that he wanted to do. Clone Wars is well documented that there was going to be he was going to reinterpret the Yuuzhan Vong in Clone Wars as a kind of X-Files episode where it was like this alien abduction idea that we never saw them. It was just like people were being abducted for experiments, and that was going to be a whole idea for Clone Wars that didn't happen because the show was canceled. So it does sound like Filoni is taking, once again, an idea that he had a long time ago and readapting it for this era of Star Wars. And I'm here for it, honestly.
Ben, we're saying the words Yuuzhan Vong. Do you have any idea what that means?
Yeah, that's the alien race that's force that's like immune to the force. So the reason why, like the legends reason is like the Emperor created the Galactic Empire to build this giant army to fight the Yuuzhan Vong because he knew that they weren't going to be able to fight them with the force.
They're like Serenity Reavers. But they're immune to the force. Yeah, that's 100%. That's perfect. Yeah. That's very cool. I love that idea. I love the people like, yo, you can't do shit to us. You actually got to fight us. I love that idea. I hate, much like Sparks and pretty much everyone else, that expanded universe. One of my least favorite ideas of the Emperor was actually doing something for good. He just did about it bad means. Like, no, F that shit. That dude's a bad boy. He's a bad man.
We talked about the force. We mentioned it a bit in the beginning of this episode, how Sabine is being trained to use the force. I want to talk a little bit about that because I'm really into this idea of obviously, like, I love The Last Jedi. The idea that anybody can be a Jedi is very much ingrained within Star Wars. We've never seen it quite to this level before. Ahsoka posits that Ahsoka says what everyone knows in Star Wars. It's the Star Wars lore forever. Everyone is connected to the force. Not everybody can access it. And so it's kind of like teaching, it's going to be a great reference, I hope. It's kind of like teaching Pan how to fly. Everyone has access to the ability to access your chi that way, but not everybody can. And so like I feel very much the same way that, like, I'm going to say midichlorians, so trigger warning.
I would say, just real quick on that reference, I would say it's a lot closer to Videl, because Videl's 100% human.
That's what I meant. I meant Videl. I'm so sorry. I meant Videl.
Because Pan's part Saiyan, so she just kind of gets that shit.
Yes. Yeah. I 100% meant Videl. I'm sorry I said Pan.
I think I even still picked up on what you were saying.
Anyway.
Yeah. Thank you for correcting me. But so I'm gonna so the idea of Star Wars, and even Filoni has tried to kind of make the midichlorian thing work. The idea is that the midichlorians are within all of us. The ability to be connected to the force within all of us is just the midichlorian count is high enough. You can talk to the force. You can access the force. So like I like the idea that, like, even though Sabine is not force sensitive inherently, she is not born being force sensitive. She cannot access the force in the same way. Theoretically, it should still be possible to teach someone how to access the force. And I'm kind of really into that idea. I don't know how it's going to play, but right now I'm into it.
That's the thing where I really like the idea of it, but like in execution, it can go a lot of ways for me, because I really don't want this to become anybody who just tries hard enough could become a Jedi. And that's not what I'm saying is happening, but I feel like if we open up a new Jedi temple with all regular people and they all start can use the force with enough power, I'm like, that does kind of lessen what a Jedi is, in my opinion. Everybody can be connected to the force, but if anybody can use God powers with enough practice.
Well, but I think that the whole thing is in this episode, in the third episode, where Hu Yang's like, she can never really be a Jedi. Okay, and Ahsoka's like, I don't need her to be a Jedi.
That's true.
Like, she can't get that good.
Yeah.
She just can't. Like it would take her whole life, probably, to even get close. The point, the way that they talk about it is like, she has an aptitude for the force. It's just the lowest that it's ever been for anybody ever. Okay, so like, she's not coming from zero, but she's coming from like 1%.
Sure.
And like, that barometer is vast. And like obviously there are people like Broom Boy from The Last Jedi who have much more Force sensitivity and aptitude for the Force.
Yeah.
And Sabine just doesn't have it. And so like she'll get to the point where she will probably be like kind of okay at being able to sense when someone's going to attack her.
No, that's fine. I don't want her to be throwing stuff and doing backflips. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm worried about, is what I'm saying.
I don't ever think she'll get full-blown Jedi.
I want to posit a few things to Ryan's point. And I don't disagree with what you're saying, Ryan. I think that it was all about execution for me.
Yes.
One, the Jedi suck. It's clear. It's text. They suck. And that's why Ahsoka says I don't need her to be a Jedi, because the Jedi failed. There was not there. And the other thing is, it shouldn't be considered godlike powers, right? These aren't superpowers. They should be monks, right? They should be. This is a way how they commune with nature, essentially.
Yeah.
The Force to them is nature. The abilities are kind of a happy side effect, but they were never supposed to be superpowers, and that's kind of where the Jedi failed, is because they started treating them like they were. So Sabine learning how to use the Force in a more traditional sense is really interesting to me, because she's not training to be a Jedi to use superpowers. She's training to be one with the Force. See what I'm saying?
She's trying to lift stuff with her mind.
Well, everybody wants to lift stuff with their mind. Come on.
No, yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, I posited this like when we heard about Rey is going to open up a new Jedi temple after 9 and stuff. I'm like, I don't want them to do the traditional thing of like, we're doing Yoda stuff and we're lifting rocks with our minds. Like, that's, if we're going to do something different, do something different. And I see the right way this can go is Sabine doesn't ever get that stuff. She gets really in tune with herself, very zen-like, and like she's really good at sensing enemies, but that's it. And like that has to be good enough. And like the new Jedi doesn't have to have Force powers. They are just people who defend you being one with the Force. Like the guy from Rogue One. Yeah, I don't think that guy can do Force stuff, but he's in tune with the Force, right? Like that's what I'm thinking.
I mean, that is the same. Like, what Sabine's path is going to be is going to be similar to Chiru's.
I just don't want her lifting stuff.
But his Force aptitude is higher.
Yeah,
she can.
That's all I'm saying.
And I think part of the point is like also with that shot is that because she does that when she's by herself.
Yeah,
there's a very reasonable argument to be made that like Ahsoka would say like you're doing this
for the wrong reasons.
Like you're thinking about this the wrong way.
Yeah.
It's not about being able to do that. It's about being in tune with the Force. It's not about doing the power.
I'm just worried that it will go a little video gaming.
Sure.
But like I have more faith in this creative team, like Dave Filoni being the guy, than if it was like 7 other people doing it, right? Because they would be like, sure, give everyone powers.
Also whatever Rey's going to do in the future, like there will still be people like Broom Boy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Who's going to be like full Force sensitive.
I just don't see. I think the scene where Luke is training with Yoda, where he's stacking rocks, with things like that. That's not Yoda training Luke how to use a superpower. I just don't think there's anything wrong with using the Force as a superpower. Is like how we see like, oh, she's throwing rocks at Balin and she's doing all that, like doing like crazy backflips and whatnot. I can see how that could be an issue. And again, I'll probably wait for.
I think lifting rocks with your mind that is not something a regular person has.
But that's not what Yoda was trying to teach Luke. He wasn't trying to teach Luke to lift rocks. He was trying to teach Luke how to be one with the Force, and that's how it was manifesting. And so, like that, I don't see the problem if Sabine is capable of learning how to do that.
That's fine. Yeah, we don't have to go further on this. It'd be cool if she was a new version of a Jedi that didn't have access to that type of Force. If she were more like a Chirrut, I think that'd be a cool new version to do the Force.
I think Chirrut's a good parallel for that.
Yeah.
I'm excited for throwing the show up. I just want Lars in my mouth, in my face, and my ears.
Sparks, what do you think Skull and Hattie? Do you think that's just a superficial reference, or do you think that's purposeful?
Wait, what?
Balin Skull and girl's first name was escaping me, but her last name is Hattie, like the two wolves that chase the moon and the moon and the sun. And
yeah. No, they definitely, they did that on purpose.
Yeah, I was just curious how that's going to manifest.
I don't think in any direct way.
Yeah, I was asking how you whatever. That's fine. I was asking how you thought of it, what you thought of it, where you thought it was going to go. If you think it was just a superficial thing, but if you have nothing to say about it, it's fine.
I didn't give it a lot of thought, if I'm being honest. I didn't.
I don't think we have enough. I don't think we have enough information to know if it's going to be something that's like related to the myth of those two of the wolves. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just if I were I think it's just them being at the precipice of
Change.
like they're changing the sky by uncovering the galaxy, right?
With
it's just a cute reference, I think, to that.
Oh, they did the map thing. Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be any deeper than that. I could be wrong, but I don't think it's going to be.
That's all I was asking.
There's multiple Knights of the Old Republic references, and I love my man Dave for that. Thank you, Dave. I love you. You're great. You're cool.
Did we know that Morgan was a Night Sister when we first met her in the Jedi?
No, okay, and I was going to bring this up. I don't have a problem with it, but they also definitely didn't know that.
Definitely did not know that. Definitely not.
They 100% did not think she was a sister of Dathomir.
I hope she's wearing a lot of makeup and she actually is like a really gross old crone.
They changed her look a lot. Also, fun fact, I haven't gone back and looked at this personally, but apparently, if you go back and watch Rebels on Disney Plus and watch the last episode, Ahsoka's cloak is distinctly more gray when she approaches Sabine at the end instead of white.
You could have just told me it was set at a different point. They just did the same thing at a different time in the timeline, and I would have believed
They can't do that. They're literally talking about going to find Ezra.
Yeah, but you could have said they tried once before and they failed, and that they're going to do it again.
So then we're not going to find Ezra now, just so that scene is still canon later?
No. The scene is earlier, and this is later.
Oh, well, Filoni doesn't want that because he brought Ahsoka in as her I am Ahsoka the White, and he decided, wait, she's not there yet.
She should have just done Ahsoka could have just, I don't know. That bugs me. I'll be honest, it bugs me a little bit that they did a
George Lucas.
I don't mind. George Lucas. They referenced the scene, I thought, very well in the live action interpretation of the episode. I think it's very good. Like, the only thing that is inconsistent is Ahsoka's appearance, and I'm like, whatever.
I honestly don't care. Like seeing Ahsoka as like Ahsoka the White at the end when they're gonna go find Ezra at the end of Rebels. I'm like, all right, cool. But it's like, oh hey, this is like the exact same scene, but now there's more context, or not context, but there's like they're doing other stuff. It's like, okay, so the cloak's different. They didn't know what they were going to do. Now they kind of do have a direction. So like, all right, I really
There's some dope rock music that introduces Sabine.
Yes.
I love Star Wars rock music. I love
the punk space jams.
That every single Star Wars show, whether it's good or bad, introduces us to a new type of music. Because again, like Boba Fett had Thundercat the rapper do some weird shit. I'm like, what is this show?
Yeah, this felt like the most like we've ever gotten to a needle drop, but it's a needle drop still in the context of Star Wars.
This is a famous rock song on Tatooine or something. Yeah.
You basically like the vibes I got when like we cut to it, and I think it's a really good introduction of Sabine as the Beastie Boys at the beginning of Star Trek 09.
Billion percent.
Yeah.
100%.
And I was like, contextually this feels the same.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at some notes. I like that Fulcrum is still the call sign.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate that reference.
So she took that over again after what's the guy's name?
Agent Callus.
Because Agent Callus was Fulcrum after Ahsoka died.
Yeah.
Took it back.
I really like the temple scene. I even like the pace of it in the opening, even though it's a little video gamey. I like it. What I didn't like is when Sabine is messing with the artifact, and we also take all the time for her to turn it to get it to the right position. I was like, that was a little long.
That first episode felt like a lot of Jedi Survivor, like moving things around to make.
And I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it for like the setup of Ahsoka and the tension and all that in the first scene when she's in the temple.
Yeah.
I thought, you know what, this is fine. But when we also slow down again for Sabine to go, oh, turn the thing here.
3 figures.
Turn it here.
3 faces.
Turn there. I was like, we didn't need to watch all that. You could have just like cut to her and then cut back to it, and it was solved. Like, we didn't need to watch that as long.
They call it a map to Thrawn, but it's a map to another galaxy. What era of Star Wars is that thing from again? It's been a couple weeks since I've seen the episode.
They say thousands of years, so it has to be Old Republic.
Old Republic. So it would be Old Republic who mapped the Purgle's hyperspace lanes to that other galaxy, and that's why that's why the connection is there. Okay.
Yeah, I have to. I assumed it, but it could be just a different species. But I assume that because where they're going is far, it might be the Chiss, and that may be a way to make to just integrate the Chiss and Thrawn and all that stuff into here. Because like there are old species who haven't been in this galaxy in a long, long time. because they're like, advanced and stuff. But like that could be just like wishful thinking. It could be just literally any other species. It doesn't matter. But that is really cool because like we really don't leave the galaxy far, far away very often. So like it could be completely different. Like I doubt it will be, but like it could be really cool, like completely different type of force users, like almost like an alternate universe type of thing. But like I don't mean it's an alternate universe, but like the way they do things is very, very different. It's really exciting because like once we get there, that's also just like now free reign to like, hey, what if we do stuff in this other galaxy? This new stories forever in this new galaxy. Like it feels really exciting. Yeah. Or it could just be Thrawn comes to us and then like nothing happens there, and that sounds really boring. So like I'm hoping we go there.
I don't think we're gonna stay there too long, if I'm honest. I think it's gonna be we're gonna find Thrawn. Maybe we'll see a new alien and then we'll pop back. This kind of reminds me of the Star Trek also stays in one galaxy for its entire run. And they explain that by saying there's a barrier around the galaxy that turns people into God. It's weird. But
old legend stuff for Star Wars also said that there was a barrier that they couldn't pass through.
I like the barriers.
Source wall.
And I like the idea that Star Wars this idea that like everything is different. The rules are different in another galaxy. That's also in Star Trek. There's a species called the Kelvins, unrelated to the Kelvin timeline, that exists in the other galaxy, and they're like the rules of who they are really different than what the rules are here. Because in Star Trek, there's this idea that one species populated the entire galaxy with humanoid DNA. So that's why all the aliens look the same. And so like that's not the case in another galaxy. So I like the idea that could also translate to Star Wars, where you could see like the idea, the design sensibilities, the idea, the imagination can go totally rampant because the base code of what our galaxy would be different in a different galaxy. And I think that is pretty exciting, even if we're not going to be for too long.
Yeah, I don't know why, but my brain goes to the Universal arc in Dragon Ball Super, where like people have like they use the key in different ways. I'm thinking of that way.
The love versus energy.
Yes, 100%. Like I know that's probably too big for what I'm asking for this show, but like it just opens my mind and be like, man, we are really actually going to see something that we've never seen before, like actually, and I hope it's at least somewhat interesting.
I'll posit a theory to you guys. Ahsoka and Sabine might end up in that galaxy and stuck, but having to find Ezra while Thrawn gets back.
Season 2, that'd be so interesting. Almost kind of like a Loki situation. Yeah,
which is why you keep Ahsoka and them off the board from being able to report to the New Republic that Thrawn is back officially.
Yeah, that'd be actually a really cool idea. And then like, oh, that's too good of an idea. See that? Then we get to get our cake and eat it too. We get Thrawn. I get my new universe, my new galaxy,
and they gotta find Ezra.
Yeah, because Ezra theoretically probably wouldn't be hanging out with Thrawn.
Another fun theory. Morgan Elsbeth, I love that name. She said Thrawn calls out to me through space and time. General Thrawn doesn't seem like a dude who can do that. So people are speculating that someone else is actually calling Morgan from that other universe to get them to come to her, or vice versa.
Shang-Chi thing.
Like a Shang-Chi thing, absolutely. Like a darkness, or like I don't know if they use it, but like that's anti-force, but like some ethereal force that's not Thrawn is actually the one calling Morgan. And this is actually Thrawn is our big enemy, but like there is something bigger, maybe not the Yuzevong, maybe the Yuzevong, but like when I heard that, did that ring to you, Brandon? Like
that clicked in my brain as soon as you said, because
space and time.
Yeah, that was weird. Because like that was not something that I was like, Thrawn's not force sensitive.
Yeah.
How could he
calling me through
do
space?
That?
Sure. Space and time, meaning like is he like stuck over there at the same age? Like they haven't time progressed at all or anything? Like is Ezra still that age? Like I'm like, ooh.
There is something that I want to bring up real quickly, just on the idea that a different design sensibility could be in a different galaxy. We know that Thrawn's Star Destroyer was pretty damaged the last time we saw it. I want to see it repaired, but not in the way that it looks like a Star Destroyer. I wanted to see it look different. Like it's been kind of adapted to this new galaxy. Whatever Thrawn, whoever Thrawn is using as his slave labor, I guess I want to say,
Yes.
has made it look different and not look like an Star. But yes, that is really interesting. Because I clicked that too when I first heard it. It's a really weird line. It's a really weirdly specific line to say, and I hope it's something that sets up maybe for the series a bigger bad than Thrawn, and then Thrawn
can still
comes
be
in
the
as
movie
like
guy, but Ahsoka's series can be something else. Yeah,
obviously Morgan's got people who are still loyal to the Empire working for her because of what we see on Corellia.
Yep.
But I'm still kind of surprised at episode 3 that we haven't seen direct communication amongst her party with
the Shadow Collective.
Well, or even just like the guy from I forget his name right now, but the guy from the end of the last season of The Mandalorian who's championing like Thrawn is coming back and
Pelia
or whatever.
Yeah,
Pelia, yeah, like
from the Shadow
we're not
Council.
even like seeing Pelia be communicating
Honestly,
with his little weird...
I would not be shocked now that we have the map. I would not be shocked that it shows up next episode for real.
Sure, I'm just surprised it didn't happen. At this point.
Yeah,
I that's a good point, Sparks. I didn't think about that, but I agree.
I think all the stuff on Corellia is really good. All the
Long
like,
live the Empire
distrust and the long live the Empire.
Oh yeah, who do you serve as, or who do you work for? Like, I work for my investors, General. I'm all about the money.
I really like the scene in Corellia. I'm glad you brought it up. I thought that was really good. I thought that was a really good scene when it's revealed that like not all of Corellia, but a lot of Corellia is still loyal to the Empire. Especially because we know what.
I said the New Republic is shitting the bed so hard.
Oh yeah, I mean, like they even say it in this episode. Like, we have former Imperials working for us. Like, yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem.
They've sworn an oath of loyalty to the New Republic, and I'm like, cool.
Long live the Empire doesn't sound very oathful.
Yeah, and you have like this. We know that Corellia was really shitty because we've seen Solo under the Empire, and so like the fact that there are still people who are loyal to the Empire working on Corellia is really interesting.
There's a great line of that business guy, and he's like, would you think an Empire becomes a New Republic overnight? Like, people still need jobs. If this place closed down with no workforce, like, y'all would be bankrupt. Like,
can I like, I don't want this to be addressed in Ahsoka, but I do hope that, I guess it has to be Mandalorian. I don't know. It would have been Rangers of the New Republic, but they're not making that show anymore.
Sorry,
but
Gina.
Like, I really need somebody to say why they're still loyal to the Empire instead of the New Republic. I need it vocalized. I need to know what was the Empire doing for them that the New Republic they don't think will.
Probably a bunch of racist stuff.
Sure, but I want that contextualized. Like, how exactly was it benefiting them specifically? How were they not? What were they getting that left them from not being grunt level?
Yeah.
That they were fine with like whatever they were in the Empire, that they're not fine with being in the New Republic.
I'm only worried that unless a show is like the type of show like Andor, we won't.
Because we know why people turn to the Empire instead of the New Republic. Like, it's pretty clear
Greed,
what all that
power,
what all of that stuff was. But in terms of the other way around, the still loyalty to the Empire, I think especially as you are going to bring up the First Order in the long term, that they would come back around. How do you have people who are that dedicated to it? And I do think that it has to be addressed at some point, because there's still something where like you can mine on the fact that the New Republic is failing the outer regions. You can mine on the fact that the New Republic is basically all about only the wealthy and not really anybody else on the in-between. And the Empire maybe was at least addressing that. There's all kinds of things you can do. I just need someone to say it.
Yeah.
They don't have names. They don't have names in the New Republic. They took their names away.
Sure, I mean, like, and that's a motivating factor too, is that if you were, but like, yeah, I just need someone to express it, that it's more than just what they feel like the New Republic is doing. Like, why do they like the Empire? Why are they still pro the Empire despite?
I'd be interested to see. Obviously, there's what I mentioned is I find that kind of fascinating, that I want to see that go forward, that the New Republic has stripped them of their names if they were former Imperials. But I would like to see them deal with the fact that perhaps the reason, and this is a speculation that I just kind of like you, Sparks, want to see contextualized, is the idea that if they are still loyal to the Empire, they believe that the New Republic, they believe wholeheartedly that the New Republic will fail and that the Empire will come back, and that's why they're still loyal to the Empire, because they feel
It's a
like their
fair.
loyalty will be rewarded
Yeah.
when it comes back. It's not an if for them; it's a when.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
I could see that, and I'd like to see that
Yeah.
plot thread be pulled on.
Because like it's something we vocalized with Mandalorian too, where we're like the Outer Regions isn't crazy about the New Republic, but like they've been clear that the Old Republic, the Empire, the New Republic, nobody's giving a shit about them.
Yeah.
And like I want that mind more too, but that doesn't mean that they're loyal to the Empire. Like they got treated by shit by everybody.
So I just looked up the timeline because I didn't know, because I'm never good with post like Return of the Jedi, like with the timeline stuff. So like we still have 20 years before before episode 7.
Right.
I didn't realize we still have 20 years. That's a long time.
I mean,
so
we're
like
still young.
No, I know. I just like I didn't realize that much time, like, because it's only been 11 years since the end of that movie. So like it's 34 years before that next movie happens, from 6 to 7, that's a lot of time. So like all this stuff with Thrawn has to happen and then go away. So I'm like, is this gonna happen in like 2 years? No, we still have 20 years. So like, oh man, like I'm not worried about timeline stuff, or like, I was a long time.
Well, we know, so the Empire fell shortly after Return of the Jedi. What didn't happen at Return of the Jedi? This is the Battle of Jakku. Then what I like about what we're doing here with like the Thrawn stuff is that it's contextualizing that the New Republic wasn't just like fine until like the First Order showed up, because the First Order was always there. It was building power, and the New Republic was like, yeah, whatever, we don't give a shit about you anymore because you're nothing to us. But I like the idea that this recontextualized, that there is something that happened in between the rise of the First Order and the end of the Empire that they had to deal with.
That hurt them. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of neat.
The line you brought up earlier where the guy's like, yeah, the Empire doesn't turn into a New Republic overnight. I was like, really? Because it did the reverse pretty quick last time.
Yeah, no,
Y'all
literally
became an empire really fast.
Yeah, because we made a lot of money that way.
Well, the difference was there was a bunch of clone troopers around everywhere that just turned on a dime.
Sure, yeah. They had their, but like the Empire has its grand army.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. If anything, they're even more seedy.
Yeah. I'm finding that I'm really enjoying this era of the timeline. I really like it. I, not to fully go back to one of Sparks' point, but like, I love this era so much, and like I'm so excited for the future in that movie. But like, if we can't get these other main characters involved in some capacity, then like I just feel like it's like we're wasting really good potential. Because we're building into something really cool. Thrawn is awesome, and like I just don't feel you can do Thrawn without your main Star Wars characters. Because like, as much as I love Din Djarin, like he's not the guy I want to follow against Thrawn. No offense. It's like it's kind of bigger characters in a way. Even like people who've at least faced him before, like Ahsoka or Bo-Katan, like that makes sense.
Come on, like I want Luke and Ezra.
Yeah, can you imagine them teaming together? Yeah. Jesus Christ, that's fanboys screaming.
The two boys credited with
the two twin fanboys
inspiring the galaxy to rebel.
Yeah, the two twin boys, the twin sun boys.
There's they're the same age too, Ezra and Luke. There's an interesting thing that you said there, Ryan, that you don't want to see Din Djarin go up against Thrawn, which I agree with.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
No, but I agree with that. It's important. I want to focus on that a little bit, because, like, if you think about it, there's a lot of goodwill that these characters that we're seeing in Ahsoka have, because we've seen them before. We have 4 years prior to the show with them that we know them. We love them. We want to see them continue. I want to see them go up against Thrawn. They've already done it but like, if Din Djarin was a more engaging character, and a character that I can like really root for in a way that's not just like, yeah, I like the show, then I would, because like you see this all the time, like, I'm going to use Star Trek real quickly again, but like, I don't watch Strange New Worlds hoping that Captain Kirk is going to show up, because I love the characters that are in this show, and I'm glad that they are being brought up and they are moving towards like the thing, and that they're building into these characters. And so like, their TV shows do this all the time, where you kind of like, I'm watching this show, and even though it's a spinoff of something that I've already seen, I'm more invested in these characters, and I don't care if such and such, if the big character shows up, because I like these characters. I want to see these characters succeed. I will follow these characters into battle. I never watched Deep Space Nine in the hopes that Captain Picard would show up, right?
Yeah.
So like I feel very much the same way. But I wish that I felt very much the same way about the Mandalorian. Like I don't care if Luke and Han show up because I want to see Din Djarin go up against Thrawn and fight Thrawn. But I don't feel that way. And I feel like that's a failure of that show.
I don't want them to show up in The Mandalorian. I want them to show up in the movie where they fight Thrawn.
Yeah.
No, but that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm sorry I wasn't clear enough. That's what I'm saying. Like if the movie was just Ahsoka and Din Djarin going up against Thrawn, if that show was more engaging, I wouldn't want Luke and Han and Leia to be there. I wouldn't. But it's not. Because that show is failing to engage me in that way. And I do desire to see Luke, Han, and Leia.
I hear you. I think that's valid. Like you would be, I think I would be content. I would still want Luke, Han, and Leia to be there because again, like contextually, it feels like they should be involved. Even if they're not all at the battle necessarily, but they're all involved in what leads to stopping Thrawn. It feels like they should be because of what the characters' roles in the universe are. And it feels like you have the only reason you leave them out is this fear of like blending at this point in time. And I don't think that's a failure in a grand scope. Like they could nail all of the characters of these original shows and I would still feel like, okay, but you've got to involve the people from the original trilogy. Yeah. Because that's how big this is supposed to be.
And they involved.
Should be integrated.
And again, when Thrawn premiered in Heir to the Empire, he's going up against Han, Luke, and Leia. So like even the origins of the character is like none of these characters that currently, none of them were involved. And like that's just a thing of this being modern interpretation and stuff. But like it just really does feel like, not to beat a dead horse, but like if this movie comes out and it doesn't feel like the biggest it could be, I'm like, then what were we building to?
Well, and I think what's so good about doing it is that if all of these characters, if you have all these characters we followed, characters who are carrying over from Andor, I know that's also from the original trilogy, but Mom Mothma, you have all these people who you've watching all these different facets fight the Empire, and they come together and they're all like, okay, but Thrawn is that's them trying to bring the Empire back. We're not going to let it happen. And they shut it down.
And they think they won.
And they think they won.
So
I believe more that the First Order sneaks up
100% because they don't expect it. Yes.
Because they think they got it.
Yeah.
They think they killed it.
Yeah.
They fought the thing.
They nipped it in the bud.
They fought the thing that was the comeback of the thing. They handled it. It's done.
Yeah.
Oh wait, there's a First Order.
Yeah. Luke can go train at his temple. Leia can be a senator, governor, general. Yeah.
Back on these episodes, the recreation of Lothal, Ben, doesn't it look so good?
It does. It looks just like it does in the anime show. It was gorgeous.
I agree. I think it looks incredible. Just incredible.
Like Gondor.
Watching Sabine jet around between the tower and the city, I was like, this just looks exactly like the show. It's so good. It's a small detail, but I really like it. I really, really like that Ahsoka's ship has the table that comes up from the floor and can go back in. I just think that's cool. I really, really like it. I like the pattern of it and that it comes up. I just really like that. I like doing training with wood swords. Ooh! I really liked Hu Yang's light things where he's judging how good her technique is by where she hits in the light circles, and then flashes them up, and you see all of the red marks, and he's like, that could be better.
And it's really fun because we just watched an episode of Rebels where she was training the Darksaber with Kanan. And then we watched this episode and she's relearning how to do that. I'm like, wow, you really lost all your skills.
But here they are using like a wooden sword and fake lights and everything. And like there they were using like the Darksaber and a lightsaber. And I'm like, this is pretty intense.
Yeah.
And here it's like, no, this is much more training based. I really liked all that. I thought that was really well done.
General Grievous over here.
Going back to the scene where Hera's like talking about it when the guy gives Hera shit, like, is this just another ploy to get resistance rebellion resources so you can go find Ezra Bridger?
And she's like, no.
And she's like, what the fuck, man? Like, why can't we?
He's got an
There's
agenda.
all sorts amount of like, why can't we? He and Thrawn are connected.
Everybody.
Like, what are we doing? And he's like, they both died. Get over it.
Yeah.
That guy sucks.
We'll see what happens. Well, actually, we know he doesn't. Anything happen to him because he shows up in a show.
That chase.
I mean, he does blow up. We know he blows up.
The Purgles look really good. The chase through them is really good.
Absolutely loved it.
I noticed it in the third episode specifically. Ahsoka's headpiece just moves a lot better now. Like the pieces for her really sit there well and they flop around. They feel more organic than they have before. And then the only other note I really want to talk about is like we just got it real quick. Y'all, I gotta stop stabbing people in the stomach. And
every single show,
they gotta like
every show makes Qui-Gon look worse and worse.
I can't believe after Obi-Wan Kenobi did it to 2 characters that they did this. I was like, it's like you're asking for it. It's like you're asking.
Do a shoulder.
No, I was gonna say like
we don't. She won't die if you get a shoulder.
I don't know how well you guys remember Attack of the Clones, but like Kenobi gets like not deeply slashed, but slashed on the arm and on the leg, and it incapacitates him in the fight with Dooku. And I'm like, just do that with Sabine. Like we could just do some minor damage that takes her out of the fight, and then like that's fine. Why do we gotta go for the stomach again? Obi-Wan Kenobi really killed it. Like it's really done with that one because it happened to 2 characters. They really, really ruined it. And I'm like, you gotta stop. This can't be the go-to anymore, guys.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of discourse about this online, as there is, and I agree with some of the defenses of it, which is, she got medical attention early, blah 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 blah. I don't care. If it was just Sabine who got stabbed in the stomach this year, fine. I don't care as much, but the fact that she's the 3rd or 4th, that bugs me because like you're right. It's the fact that Obi-Wan did it twice with the Grand Inquisitor and Reva, and then we saw it again where I'm like, all right, come on, like again we're doing like if that didn't happen and we just had Sabine get stabbed and we're like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? Oh, thank goodness she's okay.
Yeah.
Well, and like every time someone does it, they're always like, yeah, that'll get him. And I'm like, and it never does. And I'm like, well, why is this the go-to? Why does this keep being the go-to to stab in the like? It makes no sense. And yes, it does like make Qui-Gon look bad, but like it's even beyond that. I'm like, Qui-Gon could have been like really slashed in another way. He could have been cut in half, right? And I would still feel this way. The repetition of this stab in the stomach and I live, I'm sick of it.
Yeah.
Like find a different way to injure somebody with a lightsaber that takes them out of the fight, but doesn't kill them. Find a different way.
Throw a box at her.
I'm beyond done with it.
I get that Darth Maul was cut in half and lived. I get that. But at least that was more interesting than getting stabbed repeatedly.
Same spot. Feels like it's. I also want
to say this is just a modern Star Wars problem, and I just want it on record that I don't like the lightsaber designs, and I need them to fix them.
I actually I know what you're talking about. I like Balin's and Hati's.
Yes.
For some reason, in the orange, it looks better this way to me. I wouldn't want it the other way, I think. There's something about the way that, because of how he poses himself, I don't think the thin that you're talking about would look as good. So I kind of like the blade. And I wouldn't even hate that they're different, right? If Sabine's was what you're talking about, which is the more classic style, which Rebels did. Rebels was recreating what they look like in the original trilogy, which was.
But even Rebels was too thin. I don't want it to be like that pencil thin design from Rebels.
But they were trying. But they could do it differently because of animation. But just getting back to what's more that instead of just what we've been getting with the sequel trilogy. I agree with you in a broad sense.
I just don't want to know that I'm looking at this because I do. Yeah. I'm holding up a pretend lightsaber. This is what they use because they want the lightsaber to be a natural light source now, which is fine. But
I'll tell you what,
the fact that I know that I'm looking at this because it moves like this, there's no like motion blur on it. It's just a static kind of stick that they're waving around. I'm just tired of it.
It doesn't bother me as much, but I do agree. I do agree with you, Brandon.
I want the motion blur back, but I gotta tell you, like, honestly, because I recognize and I know I agree with you on this, Brandon. Something about Balin's though, it feels weighty, and I like it looking that way.
Yeah, I'll tell you what the problem I have. It's specifically because Ahsoka has white lightsabers. A lot of the fights that she had in the first episodes, it's like white backgrounds with her white lightsabers, so like it doesn't look very good, to be honest. Like the volume stuff looks good, and the choreography for the most part is good. I feel it's slow a little at times. Actually, there's this great tweet thread about this thing called action ramping, and it's what you do when your actors aren't trained professionals like Keanu Reeves, and you edit it to make them look faster than they're actually going, and it feels like they're like doing a rehearsal sometimes during this. Like they're moving really slow, and it's not bad. It's just like,
there are things you can do in post.
Absolutely. Like I'd rather have the actor doing it. So if it looks a little slower, that's fine. But like, I definitely could tell.
But the actor would still be doing it because all it is like, all it is changing the frame speed or the frames that you're seeing. It's a very old trick is if you nip out like the second before and the second after the hit, then the hit looks faster.
Yeah.
And it makes that the punch of it land.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really the biggest issue that I've had recently. Like Rey's lightsaber, yeah. I've had this problem since Force Awakens, honestly. But like it was Ahsoka's lightsabers that really got it. That really like nailed the problem for me, because I just don't think they're doing anything visually interesting with the white lightsaber right now.
Yeah, I think having it be white on these backgrounds doesn't give them any help either.
Yeah,
especially
I'll tell you what.
Looking for.
The best that it looked was in her first episode when we see her do the lightsaber and it's all completely black, and then you just see the white lightsaber appear.
Oh, yeah.
That looked really good. I wish that they would just do more stuff like that.
In her introduction episode in Mando, like that's like, it's like smoky, so the white like is accentuated, like you see the white, but like when it's bright daylight in white Corellia, it's like it blends in, and I'm like, been,
and you can find a way to like change their location even on like a bright day.
Fight under a bridge,
like fight under shadows or something.
It was very. That's honestly like my biggest complaint. It's not even like a huge complaint. It's just like this live action is not Dave Filoni's bag. Like it's not his bag, not yet.
All right, that'll do it.
Yeah, that'll do it.
That was a lovely conversation.
Yeah.
All right, so that was the first 3 episodes of Star Wars Ahsoka, or I guess it's just called Ahsoka. But for Star Wars Ahsoka, by Dave Filoni. We'll be back next 2 episodes. Will probably be the next time you see us, right?
Yep, probably.
Yeah.
So 4 and 5. Stay tuned for that discussion. We'll do 4 and 5 together.
You've already seen the show, but we hope you're enjoying the discussion.
Thank you.
Yeah. At this point, hope you're enjoying a post-strike world where everyone enjoys a fair deal for all, and all the shows are getting done, and everyone and all the labor issues are solved, and the VFX people are unionized. Am I asking for too much? Perhaps.
Video game people too, baby. Let's all get all in. Everyone to get paid way fair labor.
Hot labor.
Dream I'm willing to live.
I was about to say hot labor fall, but it's still technically summer. But we're in
September
September now.
Winter by the time this is done.
Hot labor fall.
All right, so that'll do it, guys. So of course, this is being recorded during the strikes, but it is being released after the strikes. But check out our website at fakenerpodcast.com for all the shows where you can find links to all the shows and what was impacted during the strikes. If you like to get caught up on certain things, there's of course other Fickner's watches for Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Star Trek Lower Decks, probably coming soon. At this point, is there another Fickner's watch?
Who knows, man? That's in the future. I don't know.
But we'll see. I just thought I just thought maybe we had talked about something that I didn't remember. So you can of course check out.
Marvel stuff got pushed, so we're not doing Loki as soon as we are.
Either way, this is all coming out in release order. So
yep.
What the only thing that's come out so far has been Strange New Worlds season 2 finished, and then we're here with Ahsoka, and then you're gonna catch Lower Decks, and there's more coming down the road. Who knows what?
Well, check out our website for all the links for all that sort of thing. So, of course, make sure you subscribe to this. Make sure you like this. Make sure you're checking out our TeePublic or our Patreon if you'd like to support us financially. We appreciate it. You can also find us at Fickner Podcast on all the social medias. Hope you've enjoyed some of the content that we've been putting out during the strikes, such as our Basement Arcades and our Fickner Book Clubs. Basement Arcade, well, I guess if SAG goes on strike with the video game industry, probably stop doing that too. We'll see, though. Who knows? Until, and of course, you can check out us. You can check me out at BT McClure on Instagram and Twitter, where I also write for AtomicGeekdom.com and KaijuRamenMedia.com. You can also find Ben where?
Well, you can find me playing with the Treasure Planet map at BenMaggot27 on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Threads. Come on, that map in the very beginning, that was totally from Treasure Planet.
Oh, sure, okay. See, I was thinking of Knights of the Old Republic, where they actually have those in the game. So.
Yeah, but anyways, you can find me at BetMac27, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, TikTok. You can also find me writing for Old School Gamer Magazine, Fusion Gaming Magazine, GoNintendo.com, and playing Mary Frankenstein in D and Dark. That's not on strike. Yay! Dungeons and Dragons Play Podcast.
On VignerPodcast.com, you can find links to all of his articles that he's written for Go Nintendo, and that as of the recording, that was just done. So there you go.
Yay!
Sparks.
You can find me Lost in the Unknown Regions. That's Sparks Witty on Instagram, Twitter, SPARKZ Witty.
Ryan.
You can find me warning my favorite Papa Palpatine about the Yuuzhan Vong invasion from the Unknown Regions at DJ Tony Snark.
All right, guys, make sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel. Until next time we see us, guys, may the Force be with you.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, the galactic civil war is over. Peace has returned to the galaxy. The new republic is fledgling but strong. And a young Jedi by the name of Ahsoka Tano is trying to... No, I
She's
screwed
older
up.
than us.
I was gonna be like,
No, keep going. Sorry, keep going.
I screwed. No, let me start over. Also, I just realized, I realized I didn't put my headphones in, so I was like, wait.
All right. Take two, baby.
Take two.
Sorry.
I honestly thought you were gonna go a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Rebels happened.
Yes.